Hey everyone, welcome to our wellness workshop. My name is Jules. Super excited to see everyone here. And to keep us on track, I'm going to try and stay on script. We do have a script that we kind of go off of so that we can all stay on track and value your time. But I also want to just remind you a couple of things here when we start. Excuse me. I want you to have a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen so that you can write down any comments or questions you might have. You can also throw those in the chat, and we have a lot of people here who can help to answer them tonight. But if they don't get answered within the chat, you want to have them written down so that you can reach out to whoever invited you to tonight's workshop and you can ask them. We just don't want you to forget if something comes across your mind that you're like, oh, I want to know about that. So make sure you have that pencil and a piece of paper so you can take care of that. And then, like I said, we want to honor your time. So we're going to do our best to do that and to stay on track. This class is usually about 45 minutes to 60 minutes long. And then you do want to stay on until the very end, because at the very end, for those who are still with us, there is a drawing and there's a couple of really cool gifts that you get with that drawing. So you do have to be on though until the very end. And then the last thing I would like you to do is I would like you to familiarize yourself with the chat feature. For some of you, that chat feature, maybe it'll be at the bottom of your screen, some it may be at the top, but just find that chat feature, introduce yourself, let us know who invited you and where you're coming in from. Myself, I'm Jules, and I'm coming in from sunny Discovery Bay, California, and I will give you a little peek into my life. I just spent the last about 50 minutes out floating on the bay because it was just so beautiful. So I closed up shop a little bit early and I went out and had a float. I just came in from doing that. So that's my life, a day in the life of Jules. So let us know where you are, what your weather's like, who invited you, all the things in the chat. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Hey, Tracy, Northeast Nevada. I love it. It's sunny and warm. Yay. In Nevada, you never know. This time of year, they're getting warm. Okay, what I want you to do is I want to call your attention to the slide. I want you all to look at that. I'm not going to go through each one of those, but I want you all to look at that. And I want you to think about which one of those, if you had to pick one of those numbers or two of those numbers or three, what would be your issue? What would your challenge be? For me, my challenge would be inflammation. So number 2. And then it's always sleep. I'm getting better with my sleep, but I would have to put a number 2 and a number 6 in the chat. So do that for us. Just give us an idea. Sarah says this week she's got that too. She's got the headache, pain, and inflammation going on. So just drop that in there for us if you would. We got a 2, a 5, and a 6. Okay, yeah, it's been a week and it hasn't even started. Today's day 1. Okay, so let's move on here. I think you'll be really excited to see the different solutions that we have that are natural for what you might be going through. And that's what this workshop is all about, is a natural solution. So if we look at this slide, we're looking at a modern approach and a natural approach. So we're going to focus first of all on this modern approach. Before I dig into that though, and kind of go through that part of that, I want you to know that the FDA, we have some studies here. The FDA estimates that 200,000 Americans are hospitalized every single year because of overdoses to common things like NSAIDs. So that's your non-steroidal anti-inflammatory things that you like, your Motrin and your Advil and ibuprofens, aspirin. 200,000 a year OD on that. And that's just something that you just go and pick up off your shelf and you don't think twice about. Even Tylenol can cause liver damage if it's used to excess. And we think about Tylenol oftentimes for babies. So we have solutions to use something natural instead of those things that cause a bunch of side effects. If you want to know about those studies, just let whoever invited you to this workshop, let them know that you want to see the studies, because we have links to those that we can send right to you, and then you can look at them yourself. The reason we want to share that is because that info really kind of reflects the modern approach to medicine, to health. We are all about, in the modern approach, we're all about turning to pills and prescriptions and as the primary solution to address anything. And basically, we're just putting a Band-Aid on whatever the cause is. We're just putting a Band-Aid on that symptom, but we aren't really chasing the cause to it. And when we do that and we get drugs for that, or we take drugs for that, we run the risk of those overdoses, addictions, all of those kind of things. So when we look at that modern approach and we look at those things that are listed there underneath the modern approach, and we think about those stats that I just gave you, you have to ask yourself, we're spending 6.5 trillion, that's with a T, dollars each year on global healthcare. But you got to ask yourself, are we any healthier? Is that approach really helping us? And my answer to that would be a definite no. So let's look at the natural approach, and let's look at that, because this is where we focus on a root cause. So for me, where I have inflammation, what's causing that? Yep, I've got inflammation, but let's just dig down a little bit and see if we can find what's causing it so I don't have that excess inflammation. And we're going to use plant-based sources to do that, because our body recognizes them. It knows what to do with them. Mother Nature is amazing, and our bodies know what to do because we're part of Mother Nature. So we know what to do with that. So that's what the natural approach is all about, figuring out the root cause. So what creates dis-ease or disease in the body? That would be the top three are nutrient deficiency, inflammation, and the other is toxic overload. So let's dig into what happens when we have nutrient deficiencies and where they're coming from, particularly when we look at food and nutrition at that first window there that we're seeing. When we look at, we can go ahead and go to the next slide, whoever's running slides, thank you. When we look at these nutrient deficiencies, we can see nutrition is at the core of our immune function. And when our nutrition buckets are full, then we function optimally. We have tons of energy. We have clarity of thinking. We're in a good mood. We get good sleep, and we have little to no inflammation. But when those buckets get empty, we start having problems. And this slide that is on the screen right now shows you what the Environmental Working Group found when they did a study of US adults. 95% of us are deficient in vitamin D. 94% are deficient in vitamin E, and 61% are deficient in magnesium. So obviously, those nutrition buckets are not full. We are hurting in some really, really common areas and easy areas to fix or to support. So when those nutrition buckets aren't full, then we don't have good baseline health. We don't have a good foundation to build from. Our body doesn't have good things to build our immune system from, any of that. And we get excess inflammation, we get headaches, we find ourselves not being able to sleep, we get really foggy brain, foggy thinking, lack of energy. A lot of times digestive issues come along with that. So poor nutrition is that #1 cause of poor health. And that can be fixed. We have the ability to fix that. So let's look at the next one, which would be inflammation. What causes inflammation in the body? One of the biggest contributors is sugar. It's in everything. If you learn how to read labels, you'll find it in everything. If you're eating packaged food, there's going to be sugar in there. Another thing that causes that would be stress and lack of sleep. We also know that toxins in our environment feed into that and can cause inflammation in our body. And bad oils, industrial oils, they're all really bad for us, and they really stress our body, and they cause too much inflammation. What does chronic inflammation do to us besides just making us feel miserable? Well, it's linked to autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, cardiovascular diseases, gastrointestinal disorders, headaches, metabolic diseases like type 2 diabetes, lung diseases like asthma, mental illnesses, anxiety, depression, and even like in my case, it's the inflammation and joint pain. That's what chronic inflammation can do for us, or does to us, not can do for us. So the third one that we talked about was toxic load. What we want to look at when we're looking at toxic load is, where are we getting exposed to these chemicals? And we can't do anything about what's outside of our homes, but we can focus on what's on the inside of our homes, and we can do better there. So we get these toxic things from our environment from things like processed foods. I mentioned that already. We get it from pesticide use, weed killers, all of those kind of things, personal care products, things that we don't even think about. Those shampoos, conditioners, lotions, potions, perfumes, makeup, all those things, air fresheners in our house, cleaning products, all of those things have endocrine disruptors in them, and they are toxic to our body. So what are we going to do with all this information that I just laid on you? I gave you the bad news, but now Ani is going to give us some good news. She's going to show us some solutions that we can offer our body to help support us. So Ani, it's all yours.
Thank you, Jules. I'm here. I'm coming from sunny California. It is a beautiful hot day, so I'm not sure who said it was cold, but it's lovely here. But anyway, so let's jump into our first health solution. But before we do that, let's take a look at the chat feature. Who here uses a supplement? Maybe a vitamin D, C, or a B, or maybe you take a multivitamin or an omega. If you take any kind of supplement, please share with us. Put it in the chat. We have LLV. Julie says she used to take one a day. And sometimes the calcium. I used to take Centrum before I knew anything about LLV. Okay, Mito 2 Max. Okay, great. Now let's take a quick peek at the supplement industry. A study by the FDA from 2007 to 2016 detected contaminants in 776 dietary supplements produced by 146 companies. Another study of 3 leading memory supplements found that 2 of them didn't even contain the active ingredient listed in the on the label. The supplement industry is not heavily regulated, so products can contain lots of fillers and not much of the ingredients. If you have any reservation as to whether the product would work for you or not, this information can support your concerns. As I mentioned, the supplement industry is not heavily regulated. So let's take a look at a story from a fellow wellness advocate whose son works in a health store. He told his mother that when a supplement on the shelf is tested and found to be missing an active ingredient listed on the label, the store has up to 9 months, guys, 9 months to remove that product from the shelf. That is very concerning. Because our standard American diet is deficient in most vitamins and nutrients, it's necessary to supplement to get our body what it needs to function properly at a baseline level. So let's make sure that we're using safe and effective supplements. Ready to learn about that first health? Are you ready to learn about the health solution? Lifelong Vitality. doTERRA is known for its safe and effective oils. And LFV are doTERRA's best-selling products because they are effectively address all of these diseases areas we just mentioned: nutrient deficiency, inflammation, and toxic overload. Think of this as the necessary foundation of your health house. This helps support the cleansing and filtering of our toxins. There are 3 supplements in this line. It is the food nutrient, the cellular repair, and your omegas. This line is our micronutrient. Lifelong Vitality fills the nutrient bucket in your body. It contains powerful antioxidants that help protect our DNA. It's made with whole food ingredients, and it is 95% bioavailable for our body. The average supplement is 20 to 30% bioavailable. So this product has gotten more people off their account or over-the-counter prescription drugs more than any other doTERRA product doTERRA sells. I'm not sure if we have anyone that has a testimony here. I don't know if Candace is on or not, but I can do a small, quick, let's see.
Luke has one.
Oh, perfect. Go for it, Luke. Hi, Luke. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? So the Lifelong Vitality, oh my goodness, I've been taking that stuff. Like if I miss a few days, if we're, on a trip or whatever, and I forget to throw it in, and I miss a few days, holy cow, I'm hurting in my joints. My head isn't the same. My guts aren't the same. It something about it. I mean, she could tell you what's all in it, but I mean, it it keeps me going. It keeps I don't know. I mean, it makes me feel good, like I can get after it and attack the day.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. I know when I've taken it in the beginning, I was like, what's that? When I started taking it, I noticed I knock on wood, I hardly get sick. I'm healthier. And definitely you realize that once you stop taking it, that
Right.
something's off. Yeah. So thank you so much. We appreciate that. Let's go to our next slide. Okay, so let's take a look at this slide. So you'll see some interesting statistics here. These clinical trial results are based on blood work taken before and after subjects took doTERRA's lifelong vitality supplements for 2 months while continuing their normal diet and exercise habits. This is the difference that can be experienced when you begin taking the bioavailable nutrient-dense supplements like LLV. We all consider, those of us that take it, LLV as part of our food budget, and would urge anyone that isn't taking it, to do the same. It's less than a cup of coffee at your favorite coffee place. If you purchase it through our customer rewards program, you can get points to get future products for free. That's the only way that we buy LLV on our LRP. Okay, so let's focus on gut health specifically. Lifelong Vitality paired with PB Restore and Terrazyme is our highest recommendation. The gut plays a vital role in our overall health and our well-being, often called our second brain. The gut is vital in everything from our weight to our immune function and our mental wellness. The PB Restore is our patented dual capsule delivery system, and it's a unique formulation of 30 pre, pro, and postbiotics that help restore microbial diversity and balance for optimal microbiome health. With its unique dual encapsulation delivery system, it protects sensitive probiotic cultures from stomach acid, delivering it safely and effectively into our gut. The 18 billion colony forming units, which is CFUs, of probiotics or good bacteria consists of 24 active cultures, unparalleled variety of carefully selected strains from 22 different species for exceptional microbial diversity, maintains healthy intestinal microflora balance. It supports healthy digestive and immune system function, as well as our GI tract health, especially our intestines and our colon. Supports optimal metabolism and food absorption. Basically, in simple terms, when you have a healthy microbiome with good bacteria, bad bacteria has a harder time doing its dirty work. Let's look at Terrazyme. Terrazymes are doTERRA's digestive enzyme. It includes a variety of whole food enzymes that help us with digestion. It can be taken with every meal, and it supports healthy digestion, like we said, and metabolism, and the conversion of our food nutrients to cellular energy. Also, it promotes gastrointestinal comfort and food tolerance, and it has 10 active food enzymes. I'd like to next invite, I believe, Tracy to get into our next portion.
Thanks, Ani.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm Tracy and I'm in Northeast Nevada, and it's been pretty hot here today. So last week we had like 29 degrees Monday morning. So yeah, it's been quite the shock. But there you go. That's Nevada for you. Okay, so now we're going to have a little interaction. We're heading into our second section of our workshop. And I want to make sure that you're with me. So find your chat feature. And what percentage have diabetes increased since the 1960s? What do you think? 25%, 100%, 50%. Okay, you're not going to believe this. Almost 700%. Yes, 700. Mind blowing. How long does it take the average American to consume the same amount of sugar that our ancestors from 200 years ago would consume in a year? 6 months. 10 days. Okay. It only takes 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. That's awful too. Just showed you how much junk that we eat. So now, Sarah, thank you. Only 6.8% of the population have optimal cardiometabolic health. That means that 93% of Americans do not have the optimal cardiometabolic health. That's pretty scary. The MetaPWR system was specifically designed to tackle poor cardiometabolic health. This is your macronutrient line. It pairs beautifully with the Lifelong Vitality, our micronutrient line. The MetaPWR line does 3 things. It addresses cellular repair that leads to aging, addresses blood sugar regulation, and supports the inhibiting of fat absorption into your cells. Let's talk about your lifespan and your health span. While we can't do anything about our chronological age, we can do something about our metabolic age. The average American spends the last 14 years of their life in a state of declining health and difficulty completing everyday tasks. What if we could be empowered to change that? The MetaPWR system is the first and only system that synergistically supports a healthy metabolism. It curbs your cravings. It sustains normal range glycemic and insulin response evenly throughout the day, and it naturally promotes your cellular energy. Those using this line have reported improvements in eyesight, energy, pain, neuropathy, sleep, skin and hair growth, mood and mobility and strength, causing your body to build muscle. Before we get into too many details of MetaPWR, let's look at a few of the benefits in these before and afters. The young lady on the top has been using MetaPWR for 4 months. She's had amazing results, specifically with improvements on her face, hairs, and her eyes. The gentleman on the bottom left experienced improved skin elasticity, darker hair growth, and he got his blood work taken after 3 weeks on the MetaPWR, and this is what it showed. A 40% decrease in cholesterol, a 25-point decrease in his LDL, and a 57-point decrease in triglycerides. You think with all of that improvement, he could smile a little, but not so much in that picture, I guess. On the right side, you see a 58-year-old lady who had red spots on her arms. Anytime she bumped herself, they would appear. Doctors biopsied and said it's just what happens when you get older. After using MetaPWR for just 3 months, the spots are totally gone. She has seen other changes too, a 60-pound weight loss, thicker hair, her nails are growing, and she has a lower A1C. I want to highlight one of my favorite MetaPWR products. It is the Advantage. This is doTERRA's collagen. Unlike any other on the market, this product includes 9 types of collagen, over 70 tripeptides, 70% tripeptides, so your body absorbs it, 12 times more than any other collagen. A peptide is simply a large protein chain. It's too large for your body to break down and use for its full benefit. When it's broken down into tripeptides, it's simply smaller protein chains. The body can absorb and utilize them a lot easier. Advantage comes in small packets with freeze-dried collagen and other nutrients to mix with, usually in a 4 to 6 ounce glass of water. And it also promotes healthy biological aging and improves health span by helping aging your cells. It activates longevity genes. It improves your cognitive function. It supports lean muscle and connective tissue. It improves skin density, elasticity, and your firmness. If you love science and knowing how and why these products work, ask your wellness advocate to send our deep dive recordings for lifelong vitality and MetaPWR. And Jules, would you share your MetaPWR success, please?
I absolutely will. I'll give you the Reader's Digest condensed version. In 1998, I went to bed one night thinking, man, I don't feel good. And I knew I hadn't been feeling good, but I really thought, man, my neck doesn't feel good. And I woke up the next morning, I was on my back. My head was just tilted like this much. And I was in so much pain. All I wanted to do was take my head and move it back to this. It's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to straighten my neck out. And I couldn't do it. It hurt way too bad. And I couldn't grab a hold of the blankets to pull them up. I couldn't bring my hands up to push my head over. I was just in excruciating pain. And I laid that way for 2 hours until my daughter woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning. She was 8 years old at the time. And she came in and I had to ask her to climb up on the bed gently and push my head back to center. And that was when I realized that my body was short circuiting in a way that I had never known it was going to short circuit. And it took me a long time. I started in 1998, really trying to dial in what was going on with me. I ended up going to Mayo Clinic. I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And I just really started looking at all the different natural ways I could treat it. So it's been an ongoing process. But collagen came into my picture about 10 years ago, and I knew that it was a really good thing. I'm kind of been a biohacker, so I knew that collagen was going to be a good thing for me. But I didn't notice a huge change in the other collagens I had taken. So when doTERRA introduced this 2 years ago, I got into some of the early trainings of it before it actually was launched at convention. And I was super excited about it. I was excited about it because of the 9 different types of collagen in it. But I was really excited about the fact that it was in a tripeptide form because I knew that my body was going to absorb it and be able to utilize it so much more effectively. So that day that they announced it, I got my kit and I started taking it, and I've taken 2 a day ever since then. And I've not stopped, nor will I stop, because it has improved that inflammation in my body exponentially. It is, I'm so much better. It is crazy how much better how much better I am than I have been. I used to have what is called a flare a couple of times a year with seasonal changes, and knock on wood, but I have not had a flare since I started taking collagen. So I will not ever be without this product. And you don't have to be a super user like me, but I figured out what my body needed was 2 of them a day. And I take 1 in the morning and I take 1 at night. And man, has it ever made a difference for me. Won't be without it.
Thanks, Jules.
Sure.
I also take 1 in the morning and 1 at night now too for inflammation, and it has helped me too. Okay, now we're going to change direction and we're heading down the road to oils. doTERRA is mostly known for their essential oils, so we need to look at why they lead the world in this area. And now I'm going to turn you over back to Jules, I guess, and she's going to lead you down that road.
Awesome. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks so much. So yeah, doTERRA is known for our essential oils. It's the #1 essential oil company in the world, and there's a reason for that. So one of the really important reasons is the purity. And if you look at this slide right here, you'll see this was a study that was done by Roseman University, And it was a study that was done outside of doTERRA. And what they discovered was that doTERRA oils were found to be therapeutically relevant in cell growth and rejuvenation. They helped with metabolic health, and they also helped keeping the body at that healthy inflammatory response. The essential oil companies that the other essential oils from other companies that they tested did not have those same effects. They had very minimal effects. So they concluded that doTERRA, the therapeutic potential of essential oils, doTERRA essential oils, is highly dependent on the complete composition of the oil. And that's why doTERRAs are so different. Sourcing, processing, characterization are all really critical. And doTERRA cuts no corners in that area. So that's another study that if you want to see, we have a link to that as well. So why the doTERRA difference? doTERRA is truly pure. There's no fillers in there. There's nothing added to them, no synthetic fragrances, and there's no dilution of it. What's in that bottle is 100% pure oil. There are independent lab tests that show the majority of brands available to consumers aren't pure. And we also have the link to that if you want to see that. doTERRA sources their oils from plants grown in their ideal environment. In other words, they don't try to grow peppermint where peppermint isn't really native to grow or won't really grow well there. So it's in their ideal environment, and it makes all the difference in the chemical profile of that oil when it starts to be distilled. Every batch of doTERRA oil is tested for ideal chemistry and consistency, so the oils do exactly what we expect them to do. There are over 54 tests done on every single batch of doTERRA essential oil, from the farmer to the consumer. Our doTERRA oils can be used topically, aromatically, and some of them can be taken internally as well. People turn to doTERRA because they want safe, affordable, and effective solutions for their family's health. So let's look at what I mean by that. So safe versus other brands. Many look for safe and effective solutions that don't have those dangerous side effects and risk of addiction. So we mentioned the independent lab tests that show that 80 to 90% of all other essential oils on the market have contaminants and synthetic markers in them. So what I would say to you is, if you aren't using doTERRA, which you should be using doTERRA, but if you aren't, do not ever ingest another brand. There's a reason why doTERRAs say, the ones that can be ingested, say supplement facts on them. And it's right, you can see in that picture, but I can hold up a bottle right here that can show you right there. It says supplemental facts on the bottle. So that's what you have to look for. So doTERRA recognized when they started that the essential oil industry didn't have a standard for purity and ensured safety. So they created CPTG, which means certified, pure, tested, grade. And that raised the bar throughout the industry. This standard is beyond organic, and it includes significant testing that doesn't come cheap. So doTERRA will invest on that end, on their end, to ensure that we have the most effective, the safest product, because that's what's best for us. Many of our oils I mentioned are safe to ingest. So look for that food grade on the label, that supplemental facts on the label. And just I'm going off script here, but I'm going to add this. If you are looking at another oil, and I'm going to use lavender as an example, or peppermint as an example, if you're looking at that oil and you think it's a pure essential oil and it says not to use it internally, then you need to ask yourself questions. You need to put that back on the shelf, because there's no reason a pure peppermint oil or a pure lavender oil could not be ingested. So that's just a side note where I went off script. Okay, so let's look at this slide here that is on the screen, and we see these burns on these cute little girls. These two sisters were spending the night at their grandmother's house, and they were used to putting lavender oil on their chests, on their feet before they went to bed at night, because mom always had doTERRA essential oils. Well, their grandmother was out of doTERRA's, but she had another brand of lavender oil. So she used that on those little girls, and what resulted was chemical burns with scars almost a year later. So we're not saying that this is going to happen to you if you use an oil other than doTERRA, but this is the classic example and why it's so important to understand that doTERRA really is different. There's a reason for that. So they're safe to use from any age. We can use them on our newborn babies. My daughter has used them on both of her babies from day one, and even great grandma can use them. Brand matters for safety, and you really need to know that. All right, so let's look at how affordable doTERRA really is and how effective it really is. So believe it or not, affordability is one reason that people turn to doTERRA. These oils are 50 to 70 times more potent than herbs. So that means a little bit goes a really long way. So we're going to use the chat feature again, and I want you to make a guess. There was a recent test that was done of Costco peppermint oil that showed it was not 100% peppermint oil. So how much peppermint oil do you think was actually in the Costco peppermint oil bottle? 15. Sarah, I think you said 20. Ani, you said 15. 50. Yeah, well, the answer, just 10%. So just so you know, there's about 250 drops in this bottle. So just 10%, that means like 25 drops at most in that bottle of oil. That's crazy to me. So when you get doTERRA's CPTG oils, you get 100% oil. It's not diluted, nothing. It's just pure essential oil. And it makes it much, much, much cheaper to use than any of those other diluted brands. And it makes it much more effective and much more affordable. So each 15 ml bottle has 250 drops in it, approximately. And one dose, or recommended use of that, is literally 1 to 2 drops. So on the average, it's like $1 or less per time you use it. That's crazy. And that makes it super, super affordable. So here's an essential oil tip. When you're addressing a concern that you have, always approach it with a less is more approach. Because just because 1 drop is good doesn't mean 10 drops are better. You are much, much, much better off using 1 drop 10 different times throughout the day than 10 drops at once. So always start with that less is more approach. And that's really tough for some people. Usually, like my guy, James, more is better. So he's really had to work. I've had to work on him to get him to do the less is more approach. But that is how you make these really affordable, and it's how you get the most out of them. Let's see. Let me look at my script because I've gone off here. Okay, yeah, so let's talk about the microbiology lesson. Let's look at the right-hand side of your screen. So you see that cell right there. And I love the way Sarah does this. So actually, Sarah, I'm going to have you jump in and I'm going to have you teach this part about the cell, if you don't mind, because I love the way you do it.
Okay, let's do this. All right, so when I am teaching in a class or I'm teaching in a workshop, so this is a cell, and I have a lot of family that's was in medical, and so we talk about the cell. What I really like is that we talk about the oily cell membrane. So when we're looking at that picture there, and I'm not going to go on script, so I'm just going to go off it for a bit. Thank goodness I'm running slides. So we have the bacterial infection, which is on the outside. So any antibiotic can actually penetrate that because it's on the outside of that cell. But anything on the inside of that oily cell membrane, which is typically viruses, it can't access. So it can't get through that oily cell membrane. However, what can get through there is oils themselves, doTERRA essential oils, in fact. So the doTERRA essential oils actually can get that taken care of, the bacterial infection, plus the virus on the inside of that oily cell membrane.
That's awesome. Thank you. I totally put her on the spot there, you guys. But I love the way she just simplifies it. And we know if there's any sciencey people on here, we know that that's a really simplified version, but it's a great description of what's happening within that cell when you use essential oil. So thanks, Sarah. Appreciate you. Okay, so now let's look at overall immune support. And there are so many oils that we know have immune supporting properties, but I have this little keychain and I keep several of these with me all the time. And I always have several different oils in them. And I keep everything from my immune boosting ones to mood ones, whatever, but I always have this keychain. And for tonight's purpose, I'm going to pull up a big bottle but I want to talk about tea tree. We just got this on a BOGO for free. And I got to tell you, I did a little happy dance when I got it, because this oil is the anti-everything. It's antimicrobial, it's antibacterial, it's antiviral, it's anti-everything, yet it is one of the softest oils that you can use. You can use it on pretty much everybody. You can dilute it and use it on pretty much everybody. It's great for all things. Like I said, it's anti-everything, all things fungal, any kind of infection. It's great for acne. You can use it when you're shaving or you have razor burn. It's good for cold sores. My daughter uses it when she has a cold sore popping up. She dabs a little tea tree on there to help soothe it and to help dry it up. Use it in wounds and cuts. I used it on when James had a really bad cut on the back of his leg that really did need stitches. And I dumped tea tree in there and we butterflied it together, and you can't even see that scar today. It really is amazing. So if you have stinky armpits too, tea tree is your oil. You can put that right on your armpits with a little bit. I would dilute it with a little bit of fractionated coconut oil, but it's great for that. It's just good for everything. Everybody should have all of these oils in your natural wellness cabinet, but tea tree is definitely a number one. Okay, now we're looking at medicine cabinet basics. And again, I have this oil in here. It's Digestin, and it's right here in my keychain, but I also have my big bottle of it right here. And that's what I'm going to talk about. If you look here, we have lavender, we have lemon, we have peppermint, we have Digestin, we have Breathe. These are all oils that are truly our medicine cabinet basics. I'm going to talk just about one of them. You can see this, just the little bubbles underneath them. That'll give you an idea about them. But I'm going to talk about Digestin because I use this every single day. I use this after I eat, particularly if I've eaten and something just didn't settle well. I just put a couple of drops of this under my tongue. I rub a couple drops on my belly, and it will just calm and soothe that feeling of overeating or that uncomfortable or that indigestion or whatever you have. It's great for sinuses. If you have something sinusy going on and you're all plugged up, you can take Digestin and rub it across your sinuses. It's an amazing oil. We do not leave home without this. James has one that goes in his work truck every single day because he uses it the same way I do. Digestin is one that you can use for if you have acid reflux. It can be really soothing for that as well. Bloating, gas, indigestion, diarrhea, nausea. It'll help settle your stomach just in general. Food poisoning, it'll help to kind of soothe it. If you have food poisoning, you can use it on colicky babies. That was I know because I've listened to Sarah tell the story. I know this was her first intro to doTERRA essential oils was with one of their boys when he was just little. They weren't sleeping at night because he was so colicky. They tried the oil and they were sold because he slept through the night, the first night. So these things work, you guys. They absolutely work. Pain and inflammation. I think most of us know this line inside and out, but I do because I walk around with way too much inflammation in my body. This is Deep Blue. This is a must-have for muscle and joint pain or muscle and joint health. Not only does it relieve pain and tension, the amazing oils in it, it's a blend, and the amazing oil in it support muscles, they support joints, they support bones, and all of it to help your body heal. It helps to alleviate back pain. I have disc issues in my back, so I use it on my back all the time. When you have a nasty bruise, you can grab your Deep Blue and put it right on there, and it will help that bruise to not be a nasty deep bruise. It'll break that up and help your body move that through. What else? Oh, the stick, the Copaiba, Deep Blue and Copaiba stick. Copaiba is like a driver oil, which means it makes whatever it's paired with work even better. So that Deep Blue stick is one that goes on my back every day. I layer that on my back with the Deep Blue oil. Love it, love it, love it. What else? Emotional, there's actually emotional support with it as well. If you're dealing with anxious feelings or you're just feeling blue, that kind of thing, this oil can actually help calm and soothe you emotionally. I love the smell of it. Absolutely love the smell of it. It supports all major body systems, hearts, nerves, respiratory, immune, and skin. We're talking about the copaiba that's in that deep blue stick. Sorry, I kind of got off there. But the copaiba is so good. It's like a central nervous system support. And so having it built into that deep blue stick is just awesome. It can also be really helpful for ADD, ADHD, and copaiba itself, the oil right there to the right of the deep blue stick, the oil itself is actually the essential oil world's replacement for CBD. And it actually works even more effectively to the receptors than CBD does. So mood and emotional support. I don't have one of those oils with me, but there's 3 of them here: balance, adaptive, and serenity. There are actually more, but these are 3 that we kind of like to highlight. I will tell you my favorite of these 3 is serenity. I put it in my diffusers every single night with Shinrin Yoku, and it is what I use to help me wind down and go to bed. It's my very favorite oil for that at night. And with Shinrin Yoku, it's amazing. So I recommend that you try that. Okay, let's see. So let me tell you my story. That's what this slide is all about, for me to tell you my story. I've been using essential oils for nearly 40 years now, because I started when I was in my early 20s. But when I got introduced to doTERRA, I was in practice, massage and rehab therapy, and had been in practice for about 24 years at that point. And one of my clients brought doTERRA Deep Blue into me. This is a body that I'd worked on several times, sometimes 2 and 3 times a week, but always once a week. And I'd worked on it for years. I knew this body well. She brought, because she knew I used essential oils, she brought in that Deep Blue, asked me if I used it. And I said, sure. I'd heard of doTERRA, but I thought it was just another oil company, right? Thought I was using really good oils. But I opened that bottle of Deep Blue and I started using it on her. And within 20 seconds of me using that oil on her body, I could tell that her tissues were responding differently under my hands than they ever had before. And I was sold, absolutely sold in that instant. It's one of those that when you hear that story, you might give me an eye roll, but I truly was sold. I talked her into leaving that with me. I went home that night and I texted her and I said, how do I get started? I need this stuff. I got rid of every other essential oil that I had and I replaced it all with doTERRA, and I have never looked back. And what that has done for me is it has allowed me to do doTERRA, to work doTERRA as a business. And it's allowed me to segue out of massage after 30 years and retire for the most part. I still have active licenses, but I don't actually have my shingle out anymore because my body got super tired and it was having a hard time showing up every day and doing all the things that job, that career asked me to do. And so doTERRA was the perfect segue for me to just jump into another business where it allowed me to continue to help people feel better in their body, which is what has driven me and has been my passion for 30 years. So I love it. And I also want to point out that if you take a look at this screen, actually not this screen, but if you look at the screen of all of our faces, if you just swipe and you look at everybody here, I would never have met any of these people on this screen had it not been for doTERRA. And Sarah and I talk via Marco almost every single day. There's just, and I would never have met her. She's in Wyoming and I'm in California. So every face here is a new friend for me. And I wouldn't change that for the world. It has literally changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. So if anything that we've talked about here tonight sparks any kind of interest in you, if you're looking for an additional income stream like I was, if you're looking for natural solutions, you don't know where to start, talk with whoever invited you here tonight. We're here to help you. We're not here to sell you something. We're here to help you. And we want you to feel better in your body. And we want you to know that you also can create an income stream if you want to. So you saw me hold up my keychain, and that's what's on the screen right there as well. And if you want one of these little keychains, you can get your hands on one. And you get your hands on one by hosting a workshop. So you can host a workshop online like this. You can host an in-person workshop. Again, reach out to whoever invited you here and they can walk you through how you do that. but you get this keychain for free, and then you get an oil added to it for every person that comes to your workshop. So reach out to whoever invited you and get that going, because I promise you, you will use and use and use one of these keychains. I have one in my car. I have one in my purse. I have one in my backpack. I have one, James has one in his truck. We have them everywhere. All right. So we love to help people figure out doTERRA and figure out what doTERRA is all about and all the products that we have and what doTERRA is as a company. So we invite you to join us. We'd love that. So now we have a survey coming up. And if you want to screenshot or use your phone and take a picture of that, Julie just dropped a link in your chat. If you will fill out that survey for us, that will let us know how we did tonight. If we answered questions, if you have any more inquiries, you have any more questions, you have any more comments that you want to share, we'd love to have you fill that out. It helps us make this workshop a better workshop, and it helps us serve you better. So please fill that out. And I'll give you just a couple of minutes. And while you're doing that, we're going to look at if we have somebody new here. Do we have new people tonight? Are we doing a wheel? Okay. All right. We don't have a wheel tonight, so we aren't going to give anything away. So we're going to pass that, and we're just going to say thanks for joining us. Again, if you want to take a look or a screenshot of this or use your phone and take a picture of that, that link is going to hook you into everything that happens in this Zoom room on Monday nights, on Tuesday nights, on Wednesday nights. We're here at 5:30 Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That's Pacific time, so adjust accordingly for your time zone. But you will always find something where you can learn more about doTERRA, and you'll find the support that you need by doing that. Plus, you can hook into a newsletter, and once you decide you want to start down your path with doTERRA, and you start out with one of us, then you get hooked into a team of people that is here to help you get the most out of everything that you have your hands on. So that's what we have for you tonight. I want you to know you're not alone in your journey, and we'd love to have you join us. Bottom line. Thanks for coming, everybody. And that's what we have for you.